increased wages at a posted pay rate, and ended the abuses of the company's housing practices. This has been a WCPT
part of it.
So what one of the words in there I think I knew. Guide. I knew that one.
You know, sacred, man. Sacred. So,
headphones. It doesn't work.
No headphones?
No,
That's
no
all right. You don't
headphones,
need
yeah.
it.
We're going to do it
Just
blind.
talk louder.
Yeah. No, I can hear you. It's just I apologize for the music already. It's not going to be balanced.
We'll get through it.
Yeah, we'll get through it.
Maybe if we take some sacred psychedelics.
Sacred psychedelics. Okay, so there's like rituals and like religions and so
all
like
the different plants around the world that
smoke the peace pipe and like okay, all right.
Although I don't know if
you're Coptic Christians and you're
Yeah, it goes back, man.
Okay.
The history of it, like tied into humanity, the use of psychoactive substances, all the different ones. Not all of them, but we'll get through some of them. We're not actually doing it, people. Just talking about it. Although it would be great if we could just sit here and, all right, well, here's this. Have you ever tried canna? All right, let's do that. All right, what about...
that might go well on a live radio show.
Ayahuasca live on the air?
Right? Like, I feel like that's more of a podcast thing, but maybe a live radio show with illicit drug use, which we don't encourage.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
The views and opinions expressed here on Think Theory Radio are not that of WCBT 820 and Heartland Signal.
There you go.
And but so I actually got the idea for the show because I saw a post about telepathine.
Telepathine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, does that have any sort of telepathic parts to it? Oh, wow. Okay. It's like if you and another person take this drug, you'll be able to read each other's thoughts.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's which actually is a name given to a substance that has other names like harmine and harmala.
Okay.
Which are...
I feel like anything with the word harm in it is not a great drug name.
But I guess somebody back in like 1905 named the substance telepathine because they believed it gave you these telepathic powers.
Okay.
And it's it's part of different... It actually is in different plants, and it's been found used in ancient parts of the world from the Amazon. They use it. It's connected to a vine. That they mix it with ayahuasca.
Okay.
And then it's also called Paganum harmala, which was used or Syrian rue is another word for it. And that was also used in ancient ceremonies. And they found archaeological and chemical evidence showing it was burned in fumigation and burial rituals at least 2,700 years ago in like the northwest Arabic Peninsula or Northwest Arabia. And so, this is two different parts of the world. But I guess when they were studying it back in the early 1900s from the usage with the indigenous people in Peru and the Amazon with ayahuasca is when they started calling it telepathine, which supposedly increases telepathy.
I mean, what? I mean, is that even proven?
Well, I mean, many things can be proven that cannot be, or many things cannot be disproven that you can't really.
I guess how about for scientific?
Like, how do you prove telepathy?
Right? Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it would have to be like you and I, or you and another person that you don't know. I guess as a control, you'd have to have someone, in order to.
But
it would I mean, I guess because I feel like if you knew the person
exactly,
kind of you'd be like, oh yeah, we totally were completing each other's sentences and we knew what each other was thinking. And it's like, yeah, because you were both like know each other and know tendencies and like kind of animal brained in the moment. You know?
Exactly. And and also there is the possibility of people just lying.
Yeah.
Totally.
Grifters and or just people that are so high that they think that's what happened.
Yes, there's that element too. It also can help communication with other dimensions, in case you want to do that.
Okay. I do actually.
Increases the ability to see auras. Facilitates communication with plants and animals.
Okay.
Powerful hallucinogen, obviously.
Sounds like mushrooms.
Yeah. I mean, it's, it's related.
The telepathic part. Yeah.
I guess it's it's, you know, maybe can't prove the telepathic abilities, but it says at first it's mostly being able to sense moods better. Like you can sense people's moods, but sometimes thoughts will come through. I guess maybe it depends how much you do.
Yeah.
Some users have said they can read others' minds after using it for an extended period.
Oh, so like the telepathic effects are like lingering?
Well, or if you
off the
use
drug
it,
or during it, like
during it, if the more you use it, I guess.
I thought it was
or
one of
the
those
more
like
of it you use.
you now have the superpower.
Right.
It can't be undone.
Yes. Well, that would be cool if you just could do it once and then you're just telepathic for life.
Yeah.
I like it. But it's been used in spiritual ceremonies for thousands of years. Mixed with ayahuasca to remove the evil eye. And then also in sweat lodges, burial ceremonies. And it was reported to have been taken with ayahuasca before the combination was even known. The legend is that the ayahuasca vine told the shaman who was taking it what plant to mix it with. And that actually reminded me of, there's a book I read called The Cosmic Serpent by Jeremy Narby, who's a ethnobiologist.
Okay.
And he studied with the, I forget the Shapiro tribe in the Amazon.
It's like the Shapiro tribe?
Yeah, the Shapiro tribe in Israel. But they... I don't think I've mispronounced the name. I'll look it up in a second. But he didn't go there to study ayahuasca. He went there to study medicinal plants and, you know, and learn about their, you know, remedies and how they came about to find out how does this cure this illness? How does this, you know, do this and that? And all the, you know, the healers and the shamans would tell him the ayahuasca told us. And so he was kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't believe that. You know, he's from England, you know, he's academic.
Yeah.
And so finally he kind of broke down and was like, all right, I'll do a session, right? A ceremony. So he did an ayahuasca ceremony and he started seeing what he called the rainbow serpents, the cosmic serpents.
Okay.
And to him, it looked like the double helix of the DNA. And he started feeling it was talking to him and telling him things. And so he did a couple more ceremonies. And then after that, and I'm, you know, paraphrasing kind of the book, but he goes back to England and he develops this theory that DNA itself is conscious, right? And that's why, and he, you know, and it's pretty detailed. I mean, obviously, it's just a theory. I don't know how far you could prove this all, but
yeah,
he did go in depth into many different fields, including quantum physics, biology, you know, not geology, what's botany.
Okay.
That's what I was looking at. Ethnobotany or botany. And he studied all of these and he breaks down in each chapter the relationship between the different fields of science and his theory of DNA being conscious and saying that how we know that all plant life, all animal life on Earth shares pretty much 98% of the same DNA. And so he has this theory that DNA itself is conscious, so that's how the plant would speak to the shamans and tell them which plants cured which things.
It's the telepathic principles, or I guess. Yeah, you can talk to the...
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. One of the other cool things is that the telepathine, which I like that name better than harmine, in a solution, it grows brightly under UV light, including black light. And even just one Peganum harmala seed glows when it's dropped into a glass of water. So like it even has like trippy like rave effects. You know, just have a bunch of black lights and Peganum harmala all over the place.
It loves EDM.
So that got me thinking about it, you know, and I know we've talked about this kind of stuff on the show before in different various forms, but I don't think we've ever gotten into more in depth about, you know, all the different places and times and uses. And there's a lot of different evidence as well of where, you know, the ancients used it, you know, archaeologically, like opium goes back a long time. And in Spain, in the Cueva de los murciélagos, archaeobotanical remains of poppy capsules and seeds date back to the Neolithic period. Capsules and seeds were also recovered in the burial site at Albañol, Granada, Spain, and Ghazi Shrine in Crete, a Minoan terracotta shrine dating back to 1300 BCE, features the famous Poppy Goddess statue depicting a deity wearing a diadem adorned with slotted opium popsy capsules. And even in Switzerland, in Swiss Forland, ancient fossilized seeds and early agricultural traces document intensive spread and cultivation of opium across Neolithic Europe. And, of course, cannabis. Talked about. That's probably aside from psychedelic mushrooms, I feel like cannabis is probably the most widely spread, used, and documented ancient psychoactive plant in existence.
Okay.
Because we know for a fact it goes back at least 5,000 years to ancient China actually being cultivated.
Okay.
Right? So we know that. And there's high altitude tombs in the Pamir Mountains yielded wooden brazier burners containing stones with charred residue. Chemical analysis confirmed high levels of THC, indicating the burial ritual and inhalation of psychoactive cannabis smoke around 500 BCE. And the Scythian burial mounds in Eurasia, frozen kurgans in Siberia, contain copper cauldrons with cannabis seeds and inhaling tent structures. So I used to do like sweat lodge kind of teepees.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And sit in there and burn it. And that was actually documented by
a clam bake.
Yeah, exactly. What did they think about it? They were doing that 5,000 years ago.
You know, I was thinking though, like, how would they discover, like the discovery of cannabis? You know, was it like a field caught on fire one day and it was just like, hey man, remember when the field caught on fire? No, I don't. Like, there might be something to that.
Right. Maybe we should try that again. Try what again? No, that is an interesting, question though, because I've wondered that too. How did we figure it out?
Well, I also feel like there was like
trial and
error, experimenting, there had to have been all the ones that tried to eat all those berries and it's like, all right, that's poison. He's dead, like
right. But you think of, there's one thing of just like eating something.
Yeah.
Which I guess maybe that's where
that's probably where it started. It was, it has this weird effect. And then it was like, hey, have you tried smoking it? Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, then someone had to make the leap to smoking something, whether it was like cannabis, tobacco, or whatever. It's like, if you set it on fire and breathe the smoke.
Yeah. I wonder, yeah. I mean, it's probably... Like you said, it could have been on accident. Mm-hmm. It could have been something that, like a wildfire. Maybe they burned some of the plants and they're like, oh, dude, do you feel that? I don't feel it. Oh, yeah, let's try that on our own. Yeah. And I know like the Scythians would do, they would make it into, after they used to do these smoke rituals, like in the TBs, the sweat lodge kind of thing. And then they turn it into like a milk and they would drink it from these like goblets. And, there's theories that that's kind of where, I don't know if you've ever heard of soma, and soma is mentioned in all the ancient Indian Vedic texts. They're like the ancient Hindu religion, and it goes back, and that there was this drink, some kind of milky drink that they would use, and they would like hallucinate. But there's different theories that it was psilocybin mushroom kind of liquid, or could have been cannabis, could also have been a mixture of several different kinds. And I think that's reading a lot of this stuff seems like what I mentioned, the ayahuasca mixed with the, telepathy.
Yeah.
Or Peganum Harivala. It creates an even more psychedelic experience when you mix, the mixing them together. And a lot of these rituals all over the world, it's the same thing. They would mix different compounds. Aztecs would mix chocolate with other different kind of herbs and get, because you can get high off chocolate too. I mean, if you
on itself, or you mean?
Yeah, if you like in the real like,
or like real cocoa,
the real stuff,
like the cacao, 100% pure stuff, pure Colombian cacao.
Exactly. But then it's like what about vilca or snuff plants? You ever tried any of that?
No, I have not. I can't say that I have. Now, is this like nose drugs now? Are we going
to...
What a perfect transition.
No, this actually, like, they burn these.
Okay.
I think it's in Peru. Recent chemical and microbotanical testing of 3,000-year-old bone tubes sealed in underground galleries confirmed the direct inhalation of vilca, or Anadenanthera colubrina, seeds. So they inhale the seeds.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of sniffing or inhaling. I don't know. But that contained DMT.
Oh, okay.
And bufotenin.
Something like DMT or actual DMT?
Like the actual
extract or whatever.
I can never pronounce it right. Dimethyltryptamine.
Okay.
I think is how you say it.
I think so. I
did it.
Yeah, A+.
I didn't butcher it.
That sounds right.
In northwest Argentina, smoking pipes found alongside preserved the DMT seeds, I'm just going to call it Anadenanthera seeds, date back roughly 2130 BCE. And that's some of the oldest definitive proof of hallucinogenic plant consumption in South America. And Bolivia, a 1,000-year-old ritual shamanic bundle discovered in the Andes contained a fox snout pouch. Laboratory residue analysis on the kit detected multiple psychotropic molecules, indicating a complex mixture of Anadenanthera harmine. See, we're talking about harmine from ayahuasca vines, and which is the Banisteriopsis is the name of the vine, and cocaine. See, it did come up. Oh, and also, when we were talking about cannabis, they have found that also in ancient Hebrew temples in Israel, going back about 2,700 years, they would mix it and burn it in as an offering. You know, but I'm imagining they probably would get high off of it too. There are some theories that the oil of Moses in the Bible could have actually been cannabis oil. The problem with a lot of it is, you know, it's much of it is very theoretical in terms of how it was used. A lot of modern historians who don't, you know, subscribe to the theory of them using it for psychedelic purposes believe that it was more like ritualistic. They would just burn it and offer it to the gods. I mean, most indigenous cultures did not abuse psychedelics like we do, you know?
Well,
not like, you know, I'm speaking generally.
No. I'm saying define abuse. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like to access, is that what you're saying? Like most of these things were ritualistic or like designed to have some sort of objective, and it wasn't just, hey man, I'm bored on Friday. What do you want to do? Oh, a bunch of ayahuasca.
Exactly. You know, and that is a big part of it because, you know, you'd also had to have the healer there, the shaman there. You know, it wasn't like, you know, little indigenous kids were running around like, hey, dude, let's go get high. You know, like it was a purpose through like the ceremony for whatever reason, whether you were trying to communicate with the gods or communicate with plants or, you know, communicate with the dead, whatever it was a more ceremonial practice. Or even, you know, medicinally, they would use other herbs to heal a wound, but also burn some kind of, you know, cannabis or, you know, take ayahuasca or whatever. Where, like most things in modern society, we tend to like overindulge and, you know, overuse things.
Yeah.
But I think part of it too is because of how we've been, you know, cut off from the true purpose of it, right? Which I kind of wanted to get into too, about why, if for thousands of years humans used psychoactive substances to reach higher planes of existence and communicate with the gods and had all of this impact in society, because there's a lot of ties to whether it's the Abrahamic faiths or older religions, you know, or even just, you know, the basis of religions in, you know, pagan practices. To me, it makes a lot of sense if you're taking some form of psychoactive substance and you think you're talking to God, or maybe you are talking to God, but you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then there's a point where we got cut off from that for a long time. And then it kind of got reintroduced to us in the 50s and 60s as something else. But why did it get cut off? And who's profiting from it? We're going to talk about that when we come back after this break on Think Theory Radio.
Let's face it, most of the email you get stinks. You have to fill out some form, or a package is delayed, or a candidate you never heard of is asking for $5. But Heartland Signal has a newsletter, Radio Free America, that will actually make you want to open your inbox. Written by our senior political analyst, that's me by the way, we focus on the stories springing up from the states before it gets on the Beltway media's radar. That means you know tomorrow's news stories today. We try to keep it interesting. We all know the president's a bad guy, so we don't dwell on him too much. Rather, we focus on ways to address the root cause of Trumpism, like how John Ossoff figured out how to address corruption, or what state-level Democrats can do to stop gerrymandering, and why you don't have to worry about Spencer Pratt being the next Trump. And we try to keep it light, too, because let's face it, you deserve a laugh. We never share or sell your email address, and you can unsubscribe at any time. Sign up now at heartlandsignal.com/newsletter.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. Captain Hugh Molzak's love for the sea started after he finished high school, as he served the British Sooners and in 1918 immigrated to the United States. Within 2 years of joining the Marines, Molzak earned his Shipping Master Certificate, the first African American to do so. In 1921, Molzak was promoted to the rank of captain. In 1942, the SS Booker T. Washington, the first ship to be named after an African American, was created, and Molzak was offered the position of captain, but he turned it down at first, as the Marines did not want to have an integrated crew. Molzak stood firm on his beliefs, stating, "Under no circumstances will I command a Jim Crow," and Molzak became the first African American captain of the first ever integrated crew. Under Captain Molzak, over 18,000 troops were sent to the European war front, and ships carrying tanks, aircrafts, and ammunition to United States troops in World War II. This has been a WCPT Veteran Minute.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Welcome back to Think Theory Radio. This is Damien, and today we're talking about sacred psychedelics. Or if you prefer, entheogenic plants, or plant life, or botanicals, if you want to get all scientific about it.
I think the first one was a very Think Theory title.
Yeah. And speaking of like scientific with it, I found like a very long study. Well, it's kind of a compilation of different studies on psychoactive plants, and it's akjournals.com. But there's these different studies. There was one by some scientists named Sullivan and Hagen back in 2002 that was saying that humans have a long-term evolutionary relationship with psychotropic plant substances.
Okay.
And that resulted from their selective effects on human evolution. There's a variety of ancient exposures to plant substances that affected human evolution, with our ancestors acquiring fitness benefits as a consequence of the use of psychoactive substances. And from another study in 1997, the use of psychedelics exemplifies these enhancements of neurotransmitter functions as a consequence of their ingestion in plant sources. Evidence for the influence of psychedelics on human evolution is found in the greater sensitivity of the binding of psychedelics with the human serotonergic, like the serotonin receptors, system than in the case for chimpanzees. These differences reflect the survival advantages that resulted from their use and the consequent selection for those ancestors with an enhanced capacity to utilize these exogenous analogs of the serotonergic neurotransmitters influencing a major neuromodulatory system. The human chimpanzee's differences in the sensitivity of response of the serotonergic system established that there were ancient hominin adaptations involving selection for those ancestors in the hominin line that had a capacity for enhanced binding with psychedelics. Kind of basically saying that we were built to benefit from psychedelic use or psychotropic plants. And, you know, and if you think about it, we have endocannabinoid receptors in our brain. We've had those for a millennia, at least, that we know of. So that's, you know, we have direct relationship to cannabis. We also have, different neuroreceptors that and GABA and all these different neurotransmitters that connect to psilocybin. And I think of tryptophan, which is one of the key elements.
Turkey, right?
Amino acids. Yeah, turkey.
Right? The whole thing with the tryptophan makes you sleepy. Yeah.
But it's actually a part of our own amino acid system and the evolution of DNA and RNA.
Okay.
That also, tryptophan is one of the precursors to psilocybin.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
See, I'm just mildly tripping. I'm microdosing every time I have a bunch of turkey on Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's why you get all sleepy.
Yeah.
Getting high off that turkey tail, man. And there is a mushroom called turkey tail.
Yeah. I was going to say. I was like, why did I know that? Why did yeah.
So, it's interesting
sense.
though, the connection, and obviously, we've talked about before on the show, the whole stoned ape hypothesis, Terence McKenna, and how, is it possible that the early hominins, took mushrooms and started, questioning their existence, and this is how the whole, I think, therefore I am kind of thing happened.
I'm just thinking of Terence McKenna. I love his take it easy, but take it.
Yeah. And it's an interesting theory. Obviously, we really have no way to prove it because we can't, unless we get a time machine or something.
There must have been something that influenced something, though.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, many thousands of years, and the idea of just slowly learning things and passing it down generation to generation.
Well, and we know for sure from scientific studies now that when you take, especially psilocybin, what it does is it cuts off your DMN, which is your default mode network of the brain.
Okay.
Which is the one that kind of takes over when you're daydreaming and kind of makes you feel as a person. So when that decreases it and takes away the power of it, that's when you feel as you are kind of outside of your body.
Okay.
Right? You don't feel constrained from your physical aspects. And that's why a lot of people have that kind of euphoric feeling of oneness with the universe and oneness with other people. And it quiets the brain. You don't have all that background noise constantly running, and you're just kind of enjoying the trip.
I think that's tinnitus, man.
But it makes sense. So if you think about if early hominins were taking it, that would kind of inspire that type of, if you're out in the wild and you're thinking about food and hunting and just trying to survive and building shelter, and then you stumble upon, you take this mushroom or whatever
this will
else.
feed me. This will fill me up.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I don't even feel my body, man.
Nom, 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 nom.
Yeah. And then you start hearing your own self. Mm-hmm. You might think that it's something else talking to you. Mm-hmm. They weren't even thinking in words back then.
That's true. That is true.
That's the wild thing to think about. People weren't even thinking in words.
No, I've thought about that one before, and it was all right, clearly language, came, eventually, and so what were they doing before,
Yeah. Just thinking in images.
Yeah.
And colors.
Grunts.
Kaleidoscopes.
And whatever, yeah.
Interesting.
Whales and grunts.
They had a whole they had a really complex system of grunts.
Right, probably.
It's
no, I grunted like that.
Yeah. You know what I meant.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick phone call. We got Paul in Seattle. What's going on, Paul? Hey, Paul.
Hey, so this ayahuasca. The ayahuasca is.
Wait, are you on
really,
ayahuasca right now?
Right.
I read some about it. No. I wish. So the active ingredient, the dimethyltryptamine, and tryptamine is not the same as tryptophan. That they may have some related base molecule parts, but dimethyltryptamine is the active ingredient. But if you just ingest it, eat something that has it in it, you won't get a trip because we metabolize it so fast that you can't get a trip doing it that way. And actually, I think our body makes dimethyltryptamine naturally.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Yeah. So if you were to inject it, if you inject it into your bloodstream or snort it somehow and get it right to the brain, so then you'll have a trip for about 5 minutes.
Right.
And this is a weird thing you were talking about, the shamans, is that, so if because there's an enzyme, and it requires an MAOA inhibitor, something to inhibit the enzyme from processing it or metabolizing it so fast. So what's really weird is that the shamans, when they make this tea, they only use the 2 plants.
Yeah.
So one of them they get the DMT, the dimethyltryptamine from, and the other one has to be the MAOI inhibitor.
Yeah, that's the
what
harmine.
Makes the trip last like 3-4.
That's supposedly
that's the one that
harmine,
makes it last like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you got to wonder, it's like, what are the chances that that they would figure out which plant did it, or that they even would think that a plant would do that, or because of how would they know, right? So it's like, this is obviously ancient knowledge, and it tells me definitely that some of the books, I mean, it wasn't just in Peru or something like that. All over the world, these shamans, these medicine people knew this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you that. So books of the Bible like Daniel and Revelation. Sorry, they're tripping.
Right.
I don't care what anybody says, because that's not normal. I mean, that's. But I just think that's really amazing that that would, however they figured that out, and that it's modern biochemistry is we can say, oh, that's what's going on, but these shamans knew that, and they just make the tea out of the 2 plants.
I know, and that's what the shamans will tell you that the plant told them that. Now I don't know if that's just modern interpretation or but it's interesting. I mean, the theory that there's some kind of DNA consciousness connection between the plants. I don't know how you would prove that, but either that or, like you said, it's just so ancient that this knowledge was passed down. And the MOA inhibitor, which was in harmine or hamala, was found, it used not only in the ayahuasca ceremonies, but also in ancient Arabia. So they would use it there too, as well, in a similar process, the shamans.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so then, who's the Packers quarterback who?
Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
He used it. Aaron. Okay. So, and then he said that just from, he wasn't using it on the field, but after having done it, it stuck with him long enough that he could just see the field so much more. He was actually understanding the field more clearly. He could see it the way he always did, but he could interpret and see kind of in this frozen or slow motion thing where it was just, he knew where his passing average, everything went up.
Mm-hmm.
And how long does that stick with you? I have to say, I had this one experience.
I would say I think he had like an MVP season after that too.
Yeah. But I'm saying about how long it sticks with you is one time I did some shrooms, and this was in like Christmas vacation of 1977, and I won't tell the whole story, but we were sitting around, and a couple of the other guys said, well, we're going to go get some more beer. And so I said, okay, well, I'm not going. It's too cold. So I was going to stay at the apartment, and I said, I'm going to listen to the Close to the Edge album, which I had heard literally hundreds of times. I mean, so it was like this. It's kind of like these two, those two knuckleheads went out to the door to go, and they were cracking up and laughing because we were tripping. And then just as like the door closed, as they were leaving, just as the needle went down on the record. And I just heard this in a way that I'd never heard it before. And it was just like this. As the needle was picking up off the record just as they came busting in with the beer and laughing like they, just as if they left. And I said, where have you guys been? And they said, we just walked through the beer store. What do you mean? It's been like 20 minutes.
You're like, it's been like a whole
you
day.
Wouldn't believe what I just heard. Listen to Close to the Edge. Well, it would seem like we've gone for an eternity. I have to tell you that I'd heard that album so many times, but I'd never heard it this particular way before, and that stuck with me for years, for I would say 20 years. It is the way, so much that way now, but it did change me for just that one time.
Yeah,
I heard the album that way from then on for a long time, but it's kind of evaporated now. I just hear it kind of as I always did before, but it stays with you. So if Aaron Rodgers says that experience led to that, that he could see the field better, his whatever expanded mind, I believe it. I totally do. I think there's a lot to these hallucinogenics, that they're just, the freak out about drugs and is associated with hippies and all their whatever. It's just, I think there's a lot of medical potentials with all of this stuff. I mean, if it's used, the fact that it had a history in recreation and stuff like that is unfortunate, because it kind of socially shut things down.
Right.
But there was a time, when you read about in this country where morphine was totally legal. As a matter of fact, during Prohibition, morphine was legal. And there's actually a William Faulkner short story called Uncle Willie, takes place during the 1920s, where this one guy who owned a drugstore that was passed down from the Civil War days, Uncle Willie. The kids in the town, after they played their baseball game, they'd come over and he'd say, "Okay, who won?" And then he'd give them a prize, and then they'd sit down and watch him shoot up his morphine. Like he was a morphine addict. And then it's a weird story, but the church people decided that this was too weird to have, that was not good, even though there was no stigma against it. They just said, "Oh, this is not good." Well, there was Prohibition, so he wasn't a drinker, but it just goes to that all of the social stigmas about things. Yeah, not morphine, not yet.
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting too, because morphine comes from the poppy plant, But thanks for the call, Paul. Some great stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And you know what? Let's take another phone call from another Paul.
Hi, this is Paul, the spiritual futurist.
All right.
Remember me?
Oh, yeah.
I just want to recommend another book that I think is relevant. You may know about Aldous Huxley.
Yeah.
It's called a book called The Highest State of Consciousness, which is edited by John White. I once met him when I was in Virginia Beach, and I was crossing the road on the way to the main building, and he was literally looking at me and waiting for me to cross the road.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know why, but
yeah.
I read several of his articles and his books. Anyway, the book that I want to mention is called The State of Consciousness, edited by John White. And there's an essay by Aldous Huxley in the last section called The Value of Visionary Experience. He says, we now come to the philosophical problem. What is the metaphysical status of visions? What is the ontological status? For the time being, we can say, I think, that the value apart from their intrinsic value, so to say, the ethical, sociological, and spiritual value of the visionary experience, is that if it is well used, it can result in a significant and important change in the mode of consciousness, and perhaps also in a change in behavior for the good.
Love it.
This is from a lecture that he gave in 1961.
And the book is by Aldous Huxley?
Well, the book is edited by John White,
okay.
And it's an essay called Visionary Experience, from a speech delivered at the International Congress of Applied Psychology in 1961.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I think you might want to check out that whole book. It has a lot of other essays about the highest state of consciousness.
Yeah, I will. No, that sounds great.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. No, thank
for
you,
letting
Paul.
me on.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Love your book recommendations always.
I'm looking at it right now. Organism.earth /library/document/visionary experience. You've got the was it Aldous Huxley has been invited to the symposium by Timothy Leary and Richard Alpert. The two had met some months earlier, and you can listen to it. It's 52 minutes long, and then it has the transcript.
Well, it's interesting too that he brought up Aldous Huxley, because I'm reading right now Cosmic Trigger 1 by Robert Anton Wilson, which has a lot to do with psychedelic experiences and his studying kind of Aleister Crowley stuff and different kind of, it's not just about that, but he does mention Aldous Huxley, and also kind of tying into what we're talking about. This is, I've talked about on the show before too about, where did the use of magic mushrooms in the United States started kind of later. Goes back ancient. There's stone paintings in North Africa and Spain from 9000 BC that seem to depict some kind of, magic mushroom or mushroom people. I mean, this is in ancient Serbia, Siberia, the Amanita muscara mushroom. I mean, it goes back. But in Oaxaca, this is also a huge thing, using psilocybin mushroom in ceremonies. And it was back in the 50s when a U.S. banker, he was actually like the CEO of J.P. Morgan, this dude Gordon Wasson, and his wife went to Oaxaca, and they did a mushroom ceremony, and they brought that back, and they were friends with a lot of the, he actually gave the sample to Swiss chemist Albert Hofmann, who then synthesized it and created LSD. But they also, I forget if it was him or Albert Hofmann that gave some to Aldous Huxley. And that's, then that's when Aldous Huxley took it and wrote
the Doors of Perception.
Yes, Doors of Perception, exactly. And then, then that's where, Jim Morrison came from.
I didn't realize that Huxley and Timothy O'Leary were contemporaries. I don't know why I thought Huxley was like a generation or two ahead of him.
Yeah, because, Timothy O'Leary was like around for a while as a psychology professor, and the same thing. It was the Wasson trip influenced Timothy Leary. And it was Timothy Leary read about, Gordon Wasson's trip to Oaxaca. He went to Mexico himself, and that's when he did a ceremony, and it was Timothy Leary and Richard Albert. It's funny because if you look at pictures of Timothy Leary before, he looks like, just like a college professor. Yeah. He's got the rim, the black glasses and short hair. And he says it was above all and without question the deepest religious experience of his life. He said that he learned more during the 6 or 7 hours after he ate the mushrooms than he learned in all his years as a psychologist. And then tying into like what Paul from Seattle said about, the stigma that was placed on it. A lot of this had to do with, with Nixon. And this was more about kind of suppressing the counterculture movement and also suppressing, civil rights, for black people. It was basically like, well, how do we can't make being black illegal. We can't make protesting the war illegal. What can we do? Well, we're going to create propaganda that says, they're all on drugs. They're all using psychedelics and marijuana. And you know what I mean? And there were all these different kind of propaganda attacks throughout, the 20th century. I mean, it started early 1900s with Hertz, right? Or Hearst, right? The
William Randolph Hearst?
Yes.
Yeah, with the prohibition on marijuana and
exactly.
all that stuff. Yeah,
and that was all because hemp at the time would have replaced using trees for paper because it's so much easier to grow hemp and make paper from it. Yeah. And that was, so people don't know that he wasn't just a media magnate. He also produced the paper. Mm-hmm. That was a big part of his empire. So he used his political power and his media to create anti-marijuana. He coined the term marijuana to tie it into like
and
Mexicans,
make it seem like it's ethnic or
exactly right,
non-indigenous,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
And would write all these articles about there's the black guys playing the jazz, they're gonna do smoking that dope.
I saw Reefer Madness. I know what it can do to you.
They can jump out of a window,
yeah, right? Yeah, grow hair on my palms or something.
And that's that was so. If you think about like before that. Like Paul's bringing up, none of this was really illegal.
You got to be specific with your Pauls today. It's a Paul-heavy show.
Feels like it's very religious.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Like 3 Pauls. It's like some kind of
the Trinity of Pauls.
Yeah, the Trinity of Pauls here.
That's had to have happened before, right?
Yeah, I think so. All right, let's take a quick break. We come back. We'll get a little bit more some of these other psychoactive psychedelics, sacred psychedelics, but also what about pharmacology and the pharmaceutical companies? What have they had done with it? On Think Theory Radio right after this.
All right, we kept you waiting. I know what you want to hear.
Riot Fest is back!
Riot Fest in Douglas Park in Chicago, September 18th through the 20th. See all your favorite bands: 21 Pilots, Iggy Pop, Rise Against, Pixies, Tool, Social Distortion, Alanis Morissette, Elvis Costello, and many more. Tickets are available right now at riotfest.org. But make sure to listen to WCPT in August for your chance to win a pair. Riot Fest. Tickets available at riotfest.org.
WCPT 820 listeners, it's time for some girls news. In 2026, women's entrepreneurship is surging. Driven by a desire for flexibility and accelerated by AI and digital tools, women are increasingly leading in e-commerce, wellness, and service-based sectors, with a major trend towards solo, high-impact, and home-based businesses designed for a work-life balance. Women entrepreneurs are heavily utilizing AI and e-commerce tools to streamline operations and reduce cost. 68% of women entrepreneurs have cited a work-life balance as a primary motivator to becoming a business owner, driving the demand for virtual assistants, digital marketing, consulting, and online coaches. Now, despite the growth, there is a push for better banking support and policy with a focus on addressing the $3 trillion opportunity for women and minority-owned business acquisitions. WCPT 820 listeners, I'm Whitney Rydell, and this has been your Girls News.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Think Theory Radio. That part of the beat sounded pretty like psychedelic too.
Oh yeah. I thought you picked that music on purpose.
Yeah. Maybe a little. I like when it drops right at the right time.
Yeah.
So today we are talking about sacred psychedelics. Yeah. Trippy, dude. And, looking up, just real quick, though. So the tribe I was talking about earlier in the Amazon in Peru, it's Shipibo is the name. Because I know I mispronounced it earlier, so I wanted to.
The girl you'd like to get. Shipibo. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's exactly. But, going around the world, like there's different, and some of them are not, it doesn't have to be these hardcore, ayahuasca and, opium and stuff, but like chamomile.
Yeah.
I mean, chamomile's been used, Anglo-Saxon healers used chamomile and all these other different sacred herbs.
So are you saying that my grandma was tripping on tea when she was? Okay, all right.
But I mean, it does have, it's very like mundane.
Well,
but
it's sleepy tea, isn't it?
Like, yeah, because it's anxiety reducing, calms you.
So you're telling me it's drugs.
Shh,
dirty drugs. Right. Next, you're going to tell me coffee's got drugs in it.
I told you, man, chocolate, coffee, green tea. Like elder trees. Hawthorn is another one. Like the Celtics, the Britons recognized hawthorn as one of the most magically potent trees. I'm just kind of going. I mean, tobacco. Tobacco's was a huge ceremonial plant for a long time before, kind of same thing, got a stigma on it when capitalism came in and turned it into something else.
The Jamestown, what was the name of their corporation or whatever? Was that like their growing
the
tobacco?
British India company or whatever? Yeah. Well, it was, this was a sacred plant through all the Americas. All the indigenous people here use tobacco in different ceremonies. And you obviously do get some kind of high off of tobacco and nicotine. But this was always used more ceremonial, try to communicate with the divine or like ceremony offerings to the spirits, prayer medium, healing tool. And, it wasn't really until they started to, commercialize it and turn it into something that it wasn't, that it became, anything you overindulge can be, detrimental to your health, right? So same thing. I mean, as people start smoking 20 cigarettes a day, this isn't what the ancients were doing. They were using it here and there, and had a more beneficial properties at that point. There's all salvia, which is kind of got popular again, but that's also native to Oaxaca and the cloud forests. The Mazatec shamans used it for divination and healing. And like peyote. We didn't even bring up peyote, which is sacred cacti of the Americas, indigenous people here.
You say peyote, I say peyote. What's the?
Tomato.
Okay. I just didn't know if you have like a.
It's probably my
enlightened thing that I didn't know about. Yeah.
My Chicago accent slipping out there. Peyote and over on Devon Avenue.
All right, let's call the whole thing off. All right.
But that's been used ceremonially for over 5,000 years. This goes back. Iboga, which is I didn't really know much about, but it's deep in the rainforests of Central Africa. The Bwiti people of Gabon have used Iboga root bark for over 1,000 years, known as the tree of life. It contains ibogaine, a powerful alkaloid that creates profound introspective experiences lasting 12 to 36 hours. You ready for that one?
Yeah, right.
It's unlike other psychedelics, Iboga doesn't typically produce vivid visual hallucinations, but instead facilitates deep psychological exploration and life review. Kana is another one that's over 1,000 years. The Khoi people and San people of South Africa.
The Khoi people?
Yeah. Not the Khoipan people.
Okay.
Khoi. Well,
okay. There was like some fish person that I didn't know about.
Oh, dude, you know about the fish people that taught the Dogon tribe all about humanity?
It's all news to me, man.
That's a whole other topic, though. But they use it sacred medicine, emotional healing, spiritual connection. It's a succulent plant, actually.
Yeah.
It's a kind of cool looking plant. The blue lotus, that goes back to ancient Egypt. The sacred lily of the Nile. They revered the blue lotus as a sacred flower associated with rebirth, the sun god Ra, and the afterlife. Archaeological evidence shows blue lotus prominently featured in tomb paintings, religious ceremonies, and burial goods spanning over 3,000 years. The flower contains nuciferine and aporphine compounds that create mild psychoactive effects, including relaxation, enhanced dreams, and meditative states. And Egyptians would prepare the blue lotus by steeping the flowers in wine, smoking the petals, or creating perfumed oils for ceremonial use. So... I like that. See, even wine. We didn't even get into that part. Wine, beer. I mean, those come from plants and they get you kind of high. Yeah, but also, just real quick, what, because I looked up how, it actually was part of in Jeremy Narby's book when he was talking about studying the plants. A lot of his funding came from, pharmaceutical companies. And he was saying, unfortunately, what would happen is these pharmaceutical companies, and this goes back to the 1800s, which I didn't realize, they would start, looking for kind of medicines to sell. They would send their agents out around the world and go study with indigenous tribes, find out, okay, what are you using? And then they would just take it back here to the U.S. or wherever and, synthesize it, create medicine out of it, and make millions of dollars, right? And not giving them any money. And he would say, he was talking about that. He's like, yeah, it's kind of messed up how that happened so many times, right? That they would rip off these indigenous people and not, give them thing. And to check this out, executives at Park Davis back in the 1889, the 1880s, they used the cactus buttons. Right, and they created a mixture that they called anilonium. And
I thought that was peyote. Was the cactus button?
Yeah. But it was they were using a different. I don't know if it's exactly the peyote button. Yeah. No, it was peyote mescaline. So basically, they stole that, and they created their own medicine from it, right? And they started selling it in 1889. Okay, but you know who Park Davis became?
No,
Pfizer.
Oh,
see. Damn colonizers. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, if you dig up how many different plants were taken from indigenous people and the healing properties, and they were not given any kind of compensation for it or, even acknowledgement, it's starting to happen a little bit now. There are activist groups that work with indigenous people and try to get money from these, corporations and stuff. So we'll see what happens. But I want to thank everybody for listening and calling in. We'll be back again next week and every Saturday, 6 to 7 p.m. right here on WCPT 820 Think Theory Radio.
It's the Democracy, Stupid, with Edwin Eisendrath.
Trump's undertrained and overarmed thugs continue to terrorize neighborhoods